The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi, hello everyone. Welcome to your show E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host Ranmay here. And today we have Jaclyn, who is the president and founder of 210 Marketing with us. Hey Jaclyn, how is it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Lovely, can't really complain. So, Jaclyn, before we move any forward, let's get to know more about you in terms of, how were you growing up as a child and, how did you land up in the digital marketing space, and also a bit about your agency in terms of, what do you guys specialize in? How are you different from all the agencies out there? And then we take it up from there.
Sure. Sounds wonderful. I'm from Texas originally, raised in a small town outside of Texas. When I was in school, I wanted to work in a big fancy building because I was from a small town. So I was destined for a big city, I guess. Went to school at Tech, got a marketing degree. Soon started after graduation with a company called Auto by Tel. It was the first in the space to bring actual physical leads to car dealerships. So any kind of a new car buyer would submit a lead online, and then they would actually execute those leads to the dealership. So I kind of got my chops with selling or going into dealerships across Texas and actually having them learn how to take a lead from online to bring it into the dealership. And that was a long time ago. Then it led me into a marketing director job for a big automotive group in Texas and Tennessee, where I took care of brands like BMW, Porsche, Toyota, Lexus for 8 years, I believe that was what it took. Once I wrapped that, I had a child and I needed to be able to have a little bit of flexibility. So I decided to create the agency 210 Marketing. When we started, our initial goal was to provide a marketing service, full service marketing solutions to the medical industry. So cash pay, primary care, and it's evolved into specialty medicine. It's a lot of information I just gave you, but that's where we've landed. And since then, we are 11 years old as of this month, and we've been successful in helping grow medical practices.
Lovely. And then how was it, kind of dealing with all these sized, automotive brands? And then talk us through the shift as well, from automotive to now dealing with medical niche.
Right. So I remember when I started working in the automotive space, they acted like it was so behind in the digital e-commerce side of things. It was leaps and bounds ahead of where it is in the medical side of things. When I was working with the large car dealerships, great information, right? We were strategizing on a local level that mirrored up with strategies in a national level. The chops that I got working with huge companies like BMW and Lexus was hands down some of the best training that I could have gotten on the marketing side of things. When I decided to go into the medical space, my husband is in the medical space and he would talk about doctors and I would hear their stories. And I'm like, if they were just to put some of the same tactics that we would do in the automotive side of things, which seems absurd, it will work. So it does. It can translate because, and I don't know, on the medical side of things, the way that the system is now, primary care doctors, you used to go to your doctor that you had a personal relationship with, and they would refer you to your orthopedic surgeon or your OBGYN or whomever. Now that doesn't happen because there's mid-levels. And every time you go to the doctor, you see someone new, right? So there's no relationship built there. So now people are seeking to go online in their peer groups to figure out which physicians to use when they need specialty doctors. So it's truly changed the space into a sales type product. Like they have to sell themselves now. They just can't wait on a referral like they used to. So it's totally changed.
Absolutely. And then good for us, right? Good for us marketers, right? They got to market themselves. Right. And so many options available as well, right? These days. And
highly competitive.
Similarly for law niche, I mean, a niche that was entirely dependent on, not entirely, but to a lot extent, dependent on word of mouth marketing in the earlier days, right? But now again, they are like, one of the niches which kind of spends really heavy on marketing. It's similar to the medical niche, right? So perfect. And now talking about your agency, Jaclyn, what kind of triggered the decision to kind of start your own agency? And, from an agency standpoint, I understand how difficult it can be to A,
Mhm.
start your own thing, right? And then B, run the show, right? In the sense
Right.
that initially when you start, you have to do a lot of multitasking in the sense that support functions like HR, finance, you're hiring, you are doing team building, right? You have to take care of client deliverables and everything. And to kind of keep the lights on, with getting those first few initial clients and ensuring everything is functioning the way it should be. So talk us through that journey a bit. How did you start? What were the initial challenges?
Sure.
How did it all look like?
Sure. So I started with one employee in my house basement or my house game room. Essentially, we stayed in there. She was a graduate from Texas A&M, and I was just fortunate that she did not love what she was doing. But truly, I was fortunate because of my history with in the marketing side of things. I had when I was able to start 210, I had a handful of clients. So we were able to kind of get in and get the ball rolling and really start testing some things to see if what I thought was going to happen actually would happen in the medical space. So we were fortunate. So we were a two-man team for probably 2 years. At that point, I had had a child I was raising a young child, and that was my bandwidth for what I was looking for at that time. About 9 years ago is when I decided that we were making some pretty big changes. Our phones were ringing where people were interested in us coming to services. So we decided to start growing at that point. It's probably if I knew now what I knew then, I don't know if I would have started a digital marketing agency because it's painful. What I found is that in the last what's happened is like my love of marketing. Now I am spending my time doing HR and invoicing and like those types of things and trying to solve problems. So I'm ultimately putting out fires. And so sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, were the good old days when I could just sit in my house and figure out what was going on. So it's definitely, I think that for us, we've been successful because we will go down in a ball of flames before we will let one of our clients fail. So we do above and beyond when it comes to that. So we've had a really great chance of like having lifetime clients, like long-term clients. But, with that, it allows our employees to establish great relationships with them, which I think for the younger group of digital marketers, they're looking for some more relationship stuff now because they were a part of that COVID stuff. And then now they want more interaction with clients, and they're able to get that with ours, which I believe has really helped us retain great people that work with us and also our clients.
Lovely, lovely. And then can you, moving on to the SEO or the campaign aspect of what you do as an agency. So can you walk us through your process for crafting, a campaign tailored to a hyper local audience?
Sure. So we can use an example of like an orthopedic surgeon in a town like ours. There's probably 300 or 400 of them in our city right now. It's a very competitive space. I think that one of the things that we have to do is really kind of reverse engineer how we think we need to communicate to clients. So when we take on a client for a campaign or an orthopedic group or whatever, and we're trying to make a move in the space, what we're really trying to do is figure out how to make them different amongst everybody else because there are 400 of them that do the same kind of surgery, right? So about 5 years ago, we really started doing a lot of influence when it comes to media, testimonial type video on surgery patients, informational video with that. So what we've done is we started creating content machines for our orthopedic surgeons. With that, we then were able to start creating like paid campaigns, so digital campaigns, right? So we are able to help grow practices at specific zip codes areas. We're able to drive traffic to this awareness. Then we're able to follow it up with testimonial type things and retarget, remarket those clients. We've had great success with that. It's just how many eyes can see something. Most digital marketers that are in the medical space want to run Google ads exclusively. And there's a big disconnect because you're competing with hospitals, right? So the price can get very high. So we've been very effective using Meta to actually sell the surgeons. Kind of
And
gone
what
all
is
over the place.
and then you would be interacting with a lot of business owners, right? So what is your take in terms of, let's say a client is confused about going ahead with SEO versus PPC?
Sure. So, I mean, I think there's place for both. There needs to be both. What we have found is that people will come to us and ask for SEO services that they're just a brand new business or a brand new doctor. And when we have a conversation about what do you need immediate activity or do you have the time to wait for a little bit longer stuff? What we find is that we do both, right? So we will plug that immediate need on the digital side of it, the PPC, and then we really influence, and we have data to show that like how important the SEO portion of it is. So we try to convince them to do heavier on the PPC up front and start buying into the SEO on the front side of it too, but a smaller amount. And then as they start growing, then they put a bigger chunk of money into their SEO. But SEO is single-handedly long-term the most important thing that a business or let's just talk medical, that a doctor can do. And I don't think they need to, but they do.
Absolutely. And then moving on to storytelling, as for you, what role does storytelling play in building community-based brand loyalty?
So I think, the thing that I'm the most excited about with 210 was our bringing in an internal media team. So we actually lead with media on any project that we do, whether we're building a new website for you or working on an SEO project or we're doing digital ads campaigns or whatever. We need good video. We need good photography. So that is the single most important thing that we've been able to do to separate ourselves from other agencies, is that we will create the right content that makes everything else fall in place so much easier. In the medical side of things, storytelling is critical and key because patients want to see other patients' success, right? And in the medical side of things, typically those stories are heartwarming, right? Like they talk about that they couldn't exercise or they couldn't do that. So it really plays on the heartstrings, which the legs get a lot longer, right? It's more exciting to tell that story than it is other stories. But so for us, we love it because we really believe in our doctors, but we also love how they've helped their clients or patients.
Absolutely. Great, Jaclyn. This has been a fantastic conversation. But before we let you go, in fact, before we kind of move on to the next part of it, quickly, what is your take on this AI storm that has been there and not seeming to die anytime soon? Where do you think are we heading with all of this?
I'm excited about it personally. I think that what has happened for us
What is the best use of AI that you are doing in your agency?
The best what?
The best use of AI or an AI platform that you are doing at your agency?
Actually, this is going to be, we're actually utilizing AI for SEO and not for what you think, not for writing copy, right? Yeah. We know that that's not the right thing to do. We're really able to utilize it to get us move up on how we are targeting our search terms and words and getting strategy. That's really truly been the best thing for us, is the strategic side of the AI. It's what's happened for us is it's made us be able to have higher output and provide more value to our client because we're able to move a little bit faster. So when it all started rolling out several years ago, people were like, it's going to make it easier. We're just going to do this, where it would take us hours to do it, and it's only going to take us, 30 minutes or whatever. We're able to do the reverse on that. We're able to give extra just because we've had to have the allocated time, and we really are bought into our client success.
Lovely. Now moving on, I would like to play a quick rapid fire with you before we wrap this up.
Sure.
What did you do with your first paycheck, Jaclyn? First paycheck of your life?
Of my life? I bought furniture for my college apartment.
Okay. Your celebrity crush?
Matthew McConaughey.
All right. Your favorite sport?
Football.
The last one will not grill you any further. Where do we find Jaclyn on Friday evenings after office, after work?
Back in the day, it used to be at a bar having a cocktail, but these days it's at 7-on-7 football tournaments every Friday afternoon. But the glory days were a lot more fun than currently.
All right, lovely. Thank you, Jaclyn. You have been a sport, and thank you so much for taking out time to do this with us. For our audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Visit our website, marketing.com, or they can email me at jaclyn@210marketing.com.
Lovely. Thank you so much once again, Jaclyn. Cheers.
Thank you. Have a great day. I appreciate it.